Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Opinions on Stories. The more I see these allegations coming out, Fat Joe now being the latest, the more I find myself wondering, is the industry just broken? Or was it actually set up to allow things like this to happen? Stick around as I explore why we keep seeing so many of these stories. Let's get into it. Fat Joe's former hypeman, T.A. Dixon, has filed a lawsuit claiming that over the 16 years he worked with him, he experienced a range of serious mistreatment and witnessed troubling behavior. He alleges emotional coercion, manipulation, and being exploited on a labor level. He also says others around them were mistreated as well. Dixon also claims he witnessed situations involving inappropriate relationships with underage individuals. One allegation includes a 15-year-old reportedly being flown out to meet Joe in multiple states, and another young girl allegedly receiving cosmetic surgery that he funded. He further alleges that he was repeatedly pressured into compromising situations, sometimes in front of others or under surveillance, which he describes as humiliating. He claims there were threats that he would be stranded in foreign countries if he didn't cooperate, and that these incidents happened thousands of times during the years he worked for Joe. According to Dixon, while Joe rose to fame and success, he and his peers, who he says were key to building Joe's image, were pushed aside and silenced. He's now seeking up to $20 million in damages. In response, Fat Joe's attorney denied all of the accusations, stating, "Law enforcement is aware of the extortionate demand at the heart of this scheme. The allegations against Mr. Cartagena, Joe's real last name, are complete fabrications, lies intended to damage his reputation and force a settlement through public pressure. Mr. Cartagena will not be intimidated. We have taken legal action to expose this fraudulent campaign and hold everyone involved accountable."
Joe has been hit with an explosive $20 million lawsuit for allegedly coercing his ex-hype man into thousands of sexual acts. In a graphic 157-page lawsuit, Terrence T.A. Dixon accuses Fat Joe, whose legal name is Joseph Cartagena, of more than a decade of abuse. The details so disturbing that there's a big trigger warning in the red on the first page of that filing. Dixon alleges that in the lawsuit, Cartagena forced him to, quote, humiliating situations, including sex acts, performed under duress and surveillance. Dixon claims he personally witnessed Cartagena engage in sexual relations with girls as young as 15, one of whom Cartagena was allegedly in love with and contemplated leaving his wife for. An attorney for Cartagena says the lawsuit is a blatant act of retaliation. NBC Stephen Romo is on the story for us. And Stephen, Cartagena initially sued Dixon, and now Dixon is suing Cartagena. Both sides are trading allegations here.
Yeah, a lot of allegations here, but the lawsuit filed today has a lot more graphic content, if you will, Tom. Cartagena actually sued Dixon back in April on allegations that, as a former employee, he was trying to extort him for money. Well, Dixon's suit that was filed today is a lot more than just a typical employment dispute. The complaint does accuse Cartagena of underpaying him, but it goes on with many more allegations, claiming Cartagena would bring women to hotel rooms and make Dixon have sex with them in front of him and others. It also alleges that Cartagena would fly underage girls into the U.S. from Europe, and that he paid for plastic surgery for one of them, and claimed that the minors were frequently cut off financially and discarded when they became non-compliant. Now, Cartagena's attorney claiming that those claims in this lawsuit are complete fabrications and lies, and saying, quote, "The lawsuit filed by Tyrone Blackburn and Terrence Dixon is a blatant act of retaliation, a desperate attempt to deflect attention from the civil suit we filed first," of course referencing that lawsuit originally filed back in April.
At this point, I've lost count of how many lawsuits and allegations have surfaced lately. It's honestly overwhelming. There are so many stories breaking back to back that I can barely keep up just to cover them all here on this channel. It really makes you stop and ask, what's actually happening in the hip-hop world? I've been thinking about it a lot, and I believe there might be a few possible reasons behind the constant wave of accusations against so many artists. One theory? There could be someone, or even a group, working behind the scenes to tear hip-hop down from the inside. Even though people constantly criticize hip-hop's content, it's still the #1 music genre in the US. That kind of cultural power might not sit well with certain people at the top. And maybe they're trying to shift that dominance. Perhaps their strategy is to flood the public with allegations, true or not, just to damage the credibility and legacy of hip-hop artists. The goal might not be justice, but simply to knock the genre down a few pegs. Now, I don't like to make everything about race, but let's be real. Hip-hop is a genre built and led by Black artists, and I do believe that plays a role in why it's being targeted. People often avoid bringing up race, but sometimes race is exactly what's behind why certain things happen, and I think it's important to stop dodging that reality. Another possibility is that this surge of allegations is meant to desensitize us, to make us numb, to flood us with so many stories that we eventually start to tune them out or doubt their validity. It reminds me of something I learned in high school during an ACT/SAT test prep session. Our instructor explained that on multiple choice tests, the same correct answer can appear several times in a row. For example, C might be the right answer to 4 or 5 questions in a row, but students often second guess it, thinking there's no way that can be right so many times. So they end up picking the wrong answer. The lesson was, don't assume a pattern is wrong just because it keeps repeating. That's what I think is happening here. Because so many stories are coming out at once, people might start assuming they can't all be true. But in reality, many of them probably are. I think it's a tactic, a strategy used to confuse people, make them question everything, and eventually stop caring. And when people stop caring, it protects those who are accused, whether or not they're actually guilty. Sure, some of these claims might be false. That's always a possibility. But I believe a lot of them are true, and the people involved, and the industry backing them, want the public to think otherwise. There's also another angle I've been thinking about. These lawsuits might be one of the only ways people can speak up about what really happens behind the scenes, especially if they fear backlash from powerful industry players. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Success in the entertainment world rarely comes from talent and hard work alone. People are often asked to do things behind the scenes to maintain their careers and their image. That can apply to performers and the people working for them. In this situation, allegedly, it's Joe and his former hype man. In the previous video I made, it was Tyler Perry and one of the actors on his shows. In this business, nothing comes without a cost. If someone refuses to go along with certain demands, they risk being blackballed, blacklisted, or worse. And unfortunately, this applies to everyone in the industry, no matter their background. As much as we admire our favorite celebrities, the entertainment industry can be a cold and dirty place. Whatever the reasons may be, I've got to be honest. This wave of allegations is really starting to wear me down. True or not, it's disheartening to even hear these kinds of stories. It's heartbreaking to think about people being pressured into things they didn't agree to. And it's even harder when the people being accused are beloved public figures. Now fans are left to reevaluate their favorite artists and question the morals of people they've supported for years. And that's a heavy burden for anyone. I just want the mistreatment to stop. I want people to feel safe, respected, and never forced into things against their will. And like I always say, whenever I talk about allegations, if Joe is found to be guilty, he should absolutely face real accountability, not just a slap on the wrist. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether about this case specifically or the bigger picture I discussed. I'll leave a link to the article covering this story in the description below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload. Thank you for watching.